You are now tuned in to Frankyrose's Crime Updates. Crime Updates. You are now tuned in to Frankyrose's Crime Updates. Crime Updates.
Let's switch to suspense. Let's switch to suspense.
You are now tuned in to Frankyrose's Crime Updates. Crime Updates. Crime Updates. You are now tuned in to Frankyrose's Crime Updates. Crime Updates.
Yes, you may run to the restroom.
Which direction?
Out the door and in the front. I don't know if y'all can.
Good, because I already went.
I'm gonna say maybe two more or less.
I already went.
I already found something. I've been looking for it for a couple of weeks.
So we just jumped off one live and doing another. So let's see what comes of this officer-involved shooting. I'm sure you've seen the footage. If not, we'll try and see if we can find some after this. So I think it should be starting any minute here. Unless they're doing something with that monitor they just took away. I think this guy is probably one of my absolute favorites when it comes to law enforcement. He's just so laid back. I think so too. I like him. And he always addresses things, not like some of the ones that we've seen in other cases. Okay. That would be me, like the guy in the front row there, buddy behind me with a great big camera and fancy mic, and I'd be sitting there with my phone. I don't have anything other than my phone if I want to do something mobile. Not much longer, I don't think. I want one of those pieces of paper. What's on there? There we go, I think. Yes, here we go.
Good afternoon, folks. Thank you very much for being with me today. I am going to update you on a video clip that I did early this morning. And this is my best rendition with 3 hours of sleep in about the last 36 hours or however many hours it's been. This is the second event where I've had a deputy shot in 8 days. The first one, as you know, turned out to be just the worst, the most horrible tragedy with the death of Deputy Sheriff Blaine Lane. And we laid him to rest. And then immediately, last night, we had another deputy shot. And here's a series of events. This family had separated. So the man who worked as a maintenance person was living at the apartment complex, whereas the maintenance person and the family was at their home. A very nice home in a very nice community. And he started calling the house, and he called the daughter, and who was like 7 years old, and the mother said, "Hey, we're not having any of you trying to line the kids up. This is your issue and my issue," and hung the phone up. And so he came to the house, and he started knocking on the doors, and they had other conversations, and then he started texting about, "Don't call the cops, don't call the cops." She didn't initially see that information, but because he was there knocking on the doors, they dialed 911 and said, you know, "My estranged husband's outside, he's threatened us, he becomes more aggressive, and as a result of that, we need deputies out here," and deputies arrived. I told you last night I would release the names of the deputies involved in this event, and it's Deputy Sheriff Nunez and Deputy Sheriff Lyons. Tony Nunez and Nicole Lyons. Now, the deputies arrive, they go into the house, the suspect's gone. So they're talking to the victim of this harassment, this stalking, and during this conversation, lo and behold, one of the children sees Dad pull up out front. So our deputies immediately go outside to have a conversation with him. And as they go out to approach him, he has his hands behind his back. And they ask to see his hands. He refuses. So he backs kind of down the driveway and around the patrol car, around his car. He's pulled past 2 patrol cars. He knows we're there. And as he backs around, then we have one deputy, Deputy Lyons with her taser, and Deputy Nunez with his firearm. They're trying to talk to him, trying to de-escalate, trying to see his hands. And all of a sudden, at the same instant, Deputy Lyons tries to tase him. He shoots. And this is the guy who shot. It's Gabriel Batista. He shot, and our Deputy Nunez responded and shot. What I'm about to tell you is hard to reconcile. The suspect shot at Deputy Nunez 6 times. He struck him 1 time, center mass, right in the center of the chest, out of the 6 shots. That was a blessing. It was a blessing because our deputy was wearing his bulletproof vest, and he was wearing his St. Michael's medallion that he says he never leaves home without. As a result, he has a scuff mark on his chest we believe is where the bullet struck through the vest to the St. Michael's, and that's what caused the scratch. We want to show you the video clip of the event. However, we're just now having the opportunity to talk to the deputies because we do not, under any circumstances, allow the deputies to give a statement until they've seen all the video that's available. And the reason for that is we want clarity on everybody's part of exactly what happened. So they'll see the video, we'll take their statements, and then we'll release the information to you. And it's unbelievable what you will see in that split second. Deputy Nunez only shoots one time because his gun jammed. Now, obviously, we're going to send that to our firearms section to see why the gun jammed. Our supposition at this point in time is as he shot in the chest, we believe, in the first shot, and he's falling back when he shoots, then he's not holding the gun stiff, obviously. So the recoil does not re-engage the firearm. We don't think there's a gun issue right now. We think it's because he was falling back from being shot in the chest. But you're talking about an incredible response. As he shot his one time, the guy shoots his sixth time, the guy goes down, throws his gun down, and puts a hand in the air. He gives up. Obviously, in the meantime, Deputy Lyons has transitioned to her firearm. However, his hand's up, the gun's down, and he quit resisting. And as professional law enforcement officers do, we quit shooting when he quit resisting. But at the end of the day, I want you to look at the guy who confessed. And he said, hey, tell the deputy, I'm sorry, I tried to kill him. But he told his family that we saw after the fact, these guys are going to have to kill me. I'm going to make them kill me. He said, in fact, I'm going to do, his quote was secondhand suicide. Secondhand suicide. So when he drove past those patrol cars that night, his clear intention was to make the deputies kill him. Now, quite frankly, had the gun not jammed, we would have fulfilled his wish. But when the gunfight's over, the suspect quits resisting, then we take them safely into custody, which you've heard me talk about before. I'm sorry, the gun jammed. He needed shooting a lot, and we would have fulfilled his request, and it would have been his last request. Now our goal is to send him to prison for the rest of his life upon conviction. We've charged him, among other things, with attempted first-degree murder. He's got a few previous misdemeanor charges. He's from New York originally, and he is not a traditional criminal. But he was caught up in the emotion of this divorce. We know domestic violence cases are very, very dangerous. And as a result, he shot one of my deputies last night. We take a very dim view about that. So at the end of the day, our deputy's safe. He was treated and released. But it was just remarkable to watch his response after he shot in the chest. He takes the guy in custody and handcuffs him along with Deputy Lyons. He never goes down. The shot in the chest didn't knock him down. He didn't get out of the fight. He stayed in the fight. He reloaded his gun. And it was a remarkable response by Deputy Nunez and Deputy Lyons. And it was a restrained response because in the heat of that moment, you can certainly see how, if you weren't trained law enforcement officers, how you could have reacted after the emergency ceased to become an instant emergency. Shows that experience counts. Deputy Lyons had 22 years of experience. Deputy Nunez had 15 years of experience. Two well-trained deputies that were on the scene that night. Are there any questions?
Is Is it ever an option for deputies to wear or not wear a vest, or is it mandatory?
Absolutely not. It's mandatory wear of the vest. And quite frankly, in the beginning, it was optional. Then I made it mandatory way back in the day. And I suggest today, if I went back to optional, 98% of them would still wear it. But that vest clearly and unequivocally saved his life. That was a dead center shot into his heart. And I believe that St. Michael's and the good Lord had a lot to do with it, because those other 5 rounds missed.
So the round, was it an armor-piercing round that you get out shooting?
It was hollow point, semi-automatic, with a semi-automatic, and it was 9 millimeter. That's the gun that he tried to kill my deputy with last night.
How's he doing now?
He was treated and released from the hospital. He was in the hospital probably in and out in less than 2 hours. And quite frankly, if it weren't for the fact that you obviously want to make sure there's no internal trauma from the shock, he could have stayed on scene and completed the investigation with us. It did, normally, the shock is huge. Even when the bulletproof vest stops a bullet, it's like being hit in the chest with a sledgehammer. But he fought through all of that and was in the fight to the end, and he and Deputy Lyons successfully took our suspect into custody. But his stupid choices are going to get him the rest of his life in prison, as it should. But people have got to think through events. Is it worth being locked up for the rest of your life? I suggest not. But he's got a long prison run ahead of him now.
Is this the first time you've had 2 officers shot within this time frame since you've been?
I'm trying to think back. I've been here a long time. We've had a lot of officers shot over the years, and I don't remember 2 being shot within an 8-day period off the top of my head.
How's morale?
Oh, they're ready to go and put bad guys in jail. This just pumps us up, just makes us more determined. We're going to get after the bad guys and put people in jail, and we're going to do what's right. So shooting us doesn't diminish our morale. It makes us dig in. It makes us more excited to go out and put bad guys in jail and protect the community for such evil people as that. This guy's just a POS, and he's going to prison for that. But that does not diminish our morale. It creates esprit de corps and teamwork and working together and having each other's back and going after people. We're glad that our deputy's in great shape. And if that's not difficult emotionally and physically, but think about it. When they airlifted him, when they transported him to Lakeland, the sergeant and the lieutenant that were dispatched from the Northwest districts to the hospital were the same sergeant that was involved in the shooting 8 days ago with his lieutenant, whose shift endured the death of Deputy Sheriff Blaine Lane. The same team of supervisors were sent to meet our deputy at the hospital. But I can tell you, it was a joyful occasion when I got to the hospital last night and saw him smiling and setting up, like he needed popcorn and a Coke waiting for the movies to start or something, as opposed to what I saw 8 days earlier.
Sheriff, another topic, if that's okay?
I'll talk about anything you ask questions
Okay.
about.
What is your reaction to the Nicholas Cruz verdict?
The Nicholas Cruz verdict, I think you all know about that. That's from the massacre at Parkland, Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School. First and foremost, I'm on the Marjorie Stoneman Douglas Commission, so I've seen a deep dive into that entire event, from when the shooter was a child, and I don't even like to speak his names through my lips, until the horrible tragedy and massacre occurred. Quite frankly, my first response is nothing that comes out of Broward County surprises me. If there's ever been anyone on the face of the earth that deserved the death penalty, it was that evil, violent, murdering piece of trash that massacred those children. But I want you to understand that when the Marjory Stoneman Douglas law passed, and among other things, the commission was created, the very last school board to come in compliance with that law in the state of Florida was the Broward County school system. Did you hear what I said? We had to force the Broward County school system to comply with the law, and ground zero that created that law was a shooting and a massacre at Marjory Stoneman Douglas. Was I shocked that they didn't give him the death penalty? No. Was I surprised that they didn't give him the death penalty? No. But I can tell you, with the rule of law, we're going to respect, obviously, what the jury recommends, and the judge, if she hasn't, will sentence him to life in prison. There's never been a more cold, calculated, premeditated murder than that. And if you can't get the death penalty for that in Broward County, that's not a safe county to live in.
How are schools safer now?
Schools have always been safe. They're even safer than they've ever been. Because of horrible shootings around the country, even prior to the Marjory Stoneman Douglas law, here in Polk County, our school system, we have all worked together with our colleagues from the police departments, and certainly as the sheriff's office, I am contracted to be in charge of safe schools for our school district. We were working on safety and security systems even before Marjory Stoneman Douglas occurred. But now we have better systems, better processes, better follow-up on students that say things that could appear to be violent or dangerous. So we never say never. And I always tell folks, anytime I give my Marjory Stoneman Douglas presentation, if you can have an active shooter in a one-room wooden school, Amish school in the countryside of Pennsylvania, you can have an active shooter any place. But I can tell you the probabilities have been reduced by the security measures that's been put in place, not only in our school district, but now throughout the state of Florida. Is there improvements to be made? Yes. Are there still folks that are not doing what they should? Yes. But as a system, we see systemic improvements all over this state in the school systems and the cooperation between law enforcement and our schools and our community. But I underscore, I don't have enough angry words to say about the Broward school system. They resisted. They resisted. Let me say that one more time. They resisted all of the laws and all of the systems and processes that the Marjory Stoneman Douglas law was created to protect our students the most of any county in the state of Florida. And that's where the children were killed. So when you go home tonight, hug your children a little tighter. When you go home tonight in Broward County, hug your children a little tighter, and thank God that your child was not in that school, in that location, to be massacred like so many children were. And then understand that will your child get justice in Broward County? I saw the headlines and the presentations. You know, I could talk about this like forever, and you're going to get tired of it in a minute. Oh, but he had this mental health issue. Well, when's the last time you've seen a sane, normal human being do an active shooter event? Never. They all have a hitch in their giddy up. All of them have issues, and he was no different. But they bought into all that baloney as opposed to sentencing him to the death penalty times every person that was murdered. That was their decision. They've got to live with it. Okay?
So do you think a verdict like that would not deter someone from doing something like that in the future? Like, if you got the death penalty, maybe it scares people off from doing this type of thing?
No, I don't think the verdict one way or the other scares people off, because people that are that deranged and that fanatical don't pay any attention to that. That is only the appropriate penalty for the conduct he carried out. Okay? Anything else?
Is
I
there
could-
video you're gonna play?
Excuse me?
They're not releasing it, I think.
We're going to play that later.
Oh,
We do have, I think, is there was there a short clip?
We don't have it queued up, but we're gonna send it directly.
You're going to send it, they're going to send it to you. Okay? All right, thank y'all very much. Have a good day. We'll see you the next time somebody does something real stupid. All right, see you later.
Well said. Unreal. So that was the update. Can you imagine 2 different occurrences in an 8-day period? Unreal. And doesn't sound like he's overly surprised with what happened with the school shooter either. So people, I guess we just stay safe and, like he said, hug our kids tighter. Well, thanks for being here with me, and I will absolutely catch you in the next one. If there's another update on anything, I'll try and do this again. If not, I will put out a video. Okay, thanks for being here with me. Bye for now. Bye.